Hello, everyone, and many thanks for joining today's first live stream. Although our second news update, first news update was published on my Patreon and Boosty pages, walking talk type of video, as I did yesterday, and I published on YouTube and Rumble short clip from that update. Also, check it out if you can. Leave commentary or like might help to deal with the algorithm and shadow ban and all that stuff. But anyways, I have prepared quite a number of news on some major developments, and hopefully you will like this episode, this show. It is, of course, and dear friends, I have an announcement for you. I will share some update about the programming towards the end of the live stream. So stay if you can all the way. And so yes, it is 14th of April, 3 p.m. Moscow time, or 1500 hours. And yeah, without any delay, let's go through some news. By the way, I am a bit scared because there is a lot. Take a look at this upside of the screen there on the script capture. So much is freaking happening, man. I don't know how long this video will last. Dear friends, in case you like my work and can support her on a regular basis, on a monthly basis, let's say, this is my Patreon page. That's how it looks. This is my Boosty. Hundreds of videos there, and nowadays I have these morning updates published there also as an exclusive content. So if you can, please consider to join our communities on Patreon or Boosty. Links are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. I will welcome everybody with their open arms, of course. And okay, that's being said, let's go through some news. And I'm going to start, of course, as I usually do, with the latest update from Defense Ministry about work of air defenses past night. 97 drones were intercepted by Russian air defense over the Belgorod, Bryansk, Voronezh, Kursk, Lipetsk, Rostov, Tula regions over the Republic of Crimea and Sea of Azov. And during the day, of course, Russian air defenses are active and dealing with the additional waves of these drones that are launched by Kiev regime with the assistance of NATO. And it's usually every day, it's hundreds and hundreds of drones. For example, in past 24 hours, Russian air defenses intercepted 14 aerial bombs, which indicates that Kiev regime was deploying, Kiev regime and NATO basically were deploying their aircraft to drop these glide bombs, and also 391 drones were shut down. Almost 400 drones were shut down, and I'm afraid these 24 hours numbers might be somewhat similar. Thanks God, Russia has best air defense systems, best air defense force in the world. That saves thousands and thousands of lives, literally on daily basis. But nevertheless, every now and then some drones are managing to bypass air defenses and strike different areas, which is unfortunate. And almost every day, among targets of NATO and Kiev regime are civilian infrastructure, residential areas, civilian infrastructure, like Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, for example, which is left without power supply again, outside power supply. We have this report from Russian media, TASS news agency is reporting, for example, that external power supply has been disconnected at the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, and their backup diesel generators have been restarted as scheduled. This was reported by the NPP press service. Zaporozhye NPP external power supply has been disconnected. The situation is under control as a result of automatic protection. There are 330 kilowatt Ferrosplavne 1 high voltage power lines were disconnected. Another one, backup power line, the Dniprovskaya line, has remained disconnected since March 24, 2026. I guess at March 24, that power line was also targeted, and now all their security systems on Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, including extremely important cooling system, is completely depends on diesel generators. I did not see as of now any statements from IAEA, and even if they will make any statements, they're not going to condemn neither Kyiv regime, neither its NATO backers for this nuclear terrorism. And that's what it is, isn't it? Nuclear terrorism. I spoke about it during today's Walk and Talk video, first update, and I said that, yeah, I mean, we as a humanity been lucky for so many times when NATO and Kyiv regime was targeting nuclear power plants on Russian territory, not just ZMPP, but other nuclear power plants. But how long this luck will last? If this nuclear terrorism is not stopped, it's I guess it's a matter of time, and a catastrophic nuclear disaster might occur. We all understand that, isn't it? But yet again, that's with whom we are dealing. Terrorists that are capable of mass destruction. They don't care. They simply don't care. And as I said, every day, Kyiv regime, with assistance of NATO, is targeting Russian civilians, civilian residential areas, civilian infrastructure. And Russian diplomat Radion Miroshnik shares with the public on weekly basis information about casualties as a result of this terrorist activity of Russian enemies. And well, unfortunately, last week, as a result of attacks by NATO and their proxy Zelensky's regime on Russian Federation, almost 30 civilians were killed, including 3 children, and 170 people were injured, including 20 minors. Information is coming from Foreign Ministry Ambassador at large for the crimes of the Kyiv regime, Radion Miroshnik. And I can give you a quote from him. Over the past weeks, 170 people were injured, including 20 minors, and 29 people died, including 3 minors in the Ukrainian shelling. The largest number of casualties were recorded in Belgorod, Kherson, Zaporozhye regions, as well as in the Donetsk People's Republic. Diplomat noted that most civilian casualties, 174, were due to Ukrainian drone attacks. And he says Ukrainian, but we know it's a NATO attacks, right? Without NATO's direct involvement, direct assistance, Kyiv regime would not be able to pull off these everyday attacks, long-range attacks on the Russian Federation. According to Miroshnik, Kyiv has fired nearly 2,900 different type of munitions at the Russian regions in total. At the same time, 2 civilians died and 9 people, including child, were injured when Ukrainian armed forces violated the Easter ceasefire. Diplomat emphasized during the Easter ceasefire they killed 2 civilians and injured 9 civilians, including a child. That's what Zelensky is, that's what Kyiv regime is, that's what their Western backers are. That's it. And you're not gonna hear this information in the Western media, isn't it? You never did. No matter how many Western so-called media outlets will check, they will never report about crimes, war crimes committed by Kyiv regime and its NATO backers. They never report about it. Because they don't care. Let's be real here. They just simply don't care. Russian militaries are, of course, retaliating, striking back on military logistical infrastructure of the Kyiv regime. And we have reports about these retaliations that, for example, Port Ismail in Odessa region was targeted by Russian forces past night. There was significant damage done to logistical and military infrastructure of the Kyiv regime. And also this morning, a number of sources report about explosions in the Krivoy Rog, I guess many other directions. Russian military strike back with long-range weapons in many other directions. Also, and during the day, probably we'll have some additional information on that. And this evening, during the second live stream at 9 p.m., that I will launch at 9 p.m., I will share this additional information. Of course, also, as you know, Easter ceasefire has expired, so Russian militaries are active again on the line of contact, and we have this update there that Ukrainian Air Forces lost approximately 1,180 troops in the zone of special military operation in the past 24 hours. I can give you some details about activity on line of contact. The losses of the Kyiv regime's forces in the area of responsibility of the North group of forces amounted to up to 220 military personnel. West group of forces neutralized over 200 military personnel of enemy. South group of forces, 195 military personnel of their enemy. Sand group of forces neutralized 280 hostile troops. East group of forces over 255, and Dnipro group of forces that is operating mainly in the Kherson region alongside Dnipro River. The Dnipro group of forces neutralized up to 30 enemy troops. And this is just in past 24 hours, by the way. Also, we have spoken quite a number of times that lately there is a sort of operational pause in the zone of special military operation due to weather conditions, due to ground conditions. I explained many times that even though Russian troops are moving forward and liberating more and more settlements, progress might be relatively slow compared to other months. And I was explaining that this is due to conditions on the ground. Winter just finished. Snow is in some areas, snow is still melting, by the way, and you can imagine state of ground. It's a muddy season. And therefore, of course, rapid deployment of armored vehicles, rapid movement of large formations is practically impossible. But nevertheless, despite this, let's say, operational pause, Russian troops are advancing. And we have this update that since the beginning of the year, for example, Russian militaries have liberated 74 settlements in the zone of special military operation. 74 settlements. I think that's quite a good result, isn't it? Quite a good result. And if and when you hear in the Western propaganda outlets that there is a stalemate on line of contact, remember this news. Remember this news, that since the beginning of this year, already 74 settlements have been liberated by Russian forces. And dear friends, I want to also once again mention the statements of Patrushev, aide of Russian president, who spoke about possible involvement of Baltic republics and also Finland into drone strikes on Russian Federation. This is not the first time when Russian high-ranking official is linking directly NATO member states to these attacks. But lately, more and more officials are making such statements, and maybe we have an indicator in our hands. Indicator of possible change in Russian attitude towards those NATO member states that are directly involved in attacks on the Russian people and the Russian Federation. Maybe. Let me just remind you what Patrushev said in an interview with the Rossiyskaya Gazeta, Russian presidential aide, and the chairman of their maritime collegium, Nikolai Patrushev, who was, dear friends, I believe, head of FSB at one point, and then he was secretary of Security Council, if I remember correctly. High-ranking former and current official. He's an aide of Russian president. That's quite a high-ranking position, let's say. So, in an interview with the Rossiyskaya Gazeta, the Russian presidential aide and the chairman of the Maritime Collegium, Nikolai Patrushev, stated that neighboring states are directly complicit in Ukrainian drone strikes on Russian ports in the Baltics. I can give you a quote from his statement. Patrushev specifically emphasized that the Baltic states and Finland's provision of airspace for attack drones signifies the direct involvement of the NATO member states in attacks on Russian territory and infrastructure. He added that this entails corresponding conclusions and their consequences. So Patrushev it's not the first person, not the first high-ranking official who spoke about potential consequences due to this direct involvement of number of NATO member states in attacks on the Russian Federation. Maria Zakharova, representative of Russian Foreign Ministry, stated made a similar statement that there will be consequences for this involvement in the attacks on the Leningrad region. First and foremost, during the attacks on Leningrad region, Baltic states, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, and also Finland, they are providing their airspace for attacks, and I guess Poland too, because there are two main scenarios that people are talking about. I think these countries are providing their ground too for the attacks, but there is also other scenario that is being talked about in Russian segment of internet, at least, that Kiev regime and NATO, they are formally launching drones. For formality reasons, they are launching drones from Kiev-controlled territory, from Western Ukraine, northern western part, and then those drones are entering Poland, from Poland through Suwalki Gap into Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, and then are targeting Russian Leningrad region either from Estonia or crossing Finnish Gulf of Finland, and they're entering Finnish airspace and targeting Leningrad region from the north. Either way, these countries are complicit in attacks because they do nothing to intercept those drones. And we know those drones are flying through their territory because every now and then, whenever there is attacks on Leningrad region, some of those drones, due to technical issues or something else, they're failing on territories of these drones. Just like in past 2 weeks, 4 drones failed in Finland, for example. And there was reports that in an area where one of the drones fell to ground, Finnish armed forces lost military personnel. So there was some training exercises or something, I guess, and drone failed in an area where Finnish militaries were concentrated there, and there was casualties. That's my understanding, because I don't believe in I don't believe that it is a random that conscript, Finnish conscript, died in an area where Ukrainian NATO drones failed to ground. Either way, as I said, Patrushev is not the first official who talks about possible consequences. Maria Zakharova spoke about it. Peskov, press spokesman of the Russian president, spoke about it. Some others, and yet again, I have expressed my take many times before on the matter. I personally have just one question: when we gonna take some action about it? When? And what that action gonna look like? Statements clearly are not enough. Statements not gonna deter Western ruling class globalists from attacking Russian people and the Russian Federation. We have to retaliate with such a force and the scale that Western ruling class will have no option but to act more adequately. Statements will definitely not work. That's for sure, right? That's been said, dear friends. Let's go through some other news. And Hungary, once again, Hungary, where past weekend there was a parliamentary elections, and Orban's party lost globalist assets, gonna overtalk Hungary, and Kremlin. I mentioned during the second live stream yesterday that Kremlin will not congratulate this future Prime Minister of Hungary, leader of Tisla party, Peter Magyar, with a victory, because, and this is coming from Dmitry Peskov, because we don't send congratulations to unfriendly countries. This is quote. And Hungary, Peskov continues, is an unfriendly country. It supports sanctions against us, Peskov said to journalist Alexander Yunashiev from Live media outlet. And I'm going to tell you, I was a bit surprised. I was a bit surprised to hear this quite strong statement, message from Peskov. But my guess is that because there was a landslide in Hungary, this Tisla party did not win by few votes. They won with a landslide. They have a super majority in parliament now. They're going to have a super majority. And that means, in my understanding, that all the voters who voted for this party are Russia haters. And they want to be Russian enemy. They want their country to be Russian enemy. They clearly are hostile, for sure, towards Russia and Russian people. And therefore, of course, Hungary's place now is among unfriendly countries. And that this is not just words. There is a legislative base created here in Russia. And when countries are put in the list of unfriendly, that imposes significant restrictions on Russia in terms of cooperation with those unfriendly countries. So it will have serious consequences for the Hungary. For sure, it's not just the words. It will have consequences too. But yet again, Hungarian people choose to become an enemy of Russia. Majority of them, vast majority, chose to be enemy of Russia, enemy of Russian people. This is happening not the first time. Of course, during the Second World War, Hungary was an ally of Nazi Germany. And they were so brutal, Hungarian troops that were fighting alongside German Nazis were so brutal towards civilians that according to legends about Great Patriotic War, Red Army soldiers were not taking Hungarians a prisoner. They were taking Germans a prisoner, with exception of SS units. SS formations was a different story, but they were taking Germans from just ordinary formations, ordinary units as a prisoner. But they were refusing to take Hungarians as a prisoner. That's how brutal they was. So this is not the first time Hungarians are choosing to be Russian enemies. Just saying, man. History does some quite a tricky stuff time to time, and it repeats itself. So I don't think that many people here in Russia gonna be surprised to wake up to this new reality. And Hungary, that was trying at least to be neutral under the previous government of Orban, in a single day like that, choose to become an enemy of Russia, which is wow. You know, it's sad, man. It's sad, really. I did not expect that these globalist puppets will have a landslide victory. I was predicting before election happened that, according to reports that I have seen, this Tisla party had a bigger support than Orban's party, but I did not expect them to win with a landslide. Crazy. But anyways, Russia is designating Hungary as an unfriendly country, understandably so. And it did not took long. It did not took longer for Peter Magyar, leader of this Tisla party, new ruling party in Hungary, to justify the skeptical take of Russia towards the new leadership of that country. We have this report that Kommersant newspaper is writing, for example, that Hungary will not block the EU's 90 billion loan to Kiev regime. And you know, this 90 billion loan is to prolong this proxy war against Russia for another 2 years at least. That's what globalists and globalist control regimes all over Europe want to achieve with this money. So yes, Hungary is okay now. Orban was blocking a transfer of this 90 billion, previous government, but new one is okay. This war against Russian people, this proxy war against Russia, to be prolonged by globalists. And well, I guess it's not just, they are not gonna just okay allocation of 90 billion, but they're gonna transfer to Kyiv regime a lot of weapons and munition too, from stockpiles of the Hungarian armed forces. Publicly, as far as I can tell, Peter Magyar stated that he is not a supporter of the idea of sending weapons and munition to Kyiv regime, but can you take his word seriously? Can you take any globalist puppet's word seriously? No, you can't. You can't. They will do whatever they will be ordered to do by Brussels and by big bosses in the West, by actual decision makers among globalists, right? London primarily. So it is what it is, man. Sad that Hungary made this U-turn, but yeah, what's he gonna do? That's what Hungarian people choose. So it is what it is. Question that needs to be answered is: will European Union find these 90 billion euros to actually transfer to the regime? That's a whole different issue. They want to allocate as much money as they possibly can, but they are facing some difficulties already in regards to cash also. And for example, we have this report that the European Commission has postponed the allocation of their first tranches of 90 billion euro loan to Kiev until the second half of 2026. I wonder why. Why this information is breaking now, when Hungary no longer opposes transfer of this loan? Interesting, isn't it? Interesting. European Union clearly is in a much deeper trouble, economical and financial trouble, than many things. Much deeper. And I'm not sure they're going to be able to allocate this 90 billion loan even in second half of this year, but we will see. And also, when it comes to hostility of the new regime in Hungary, let me give you this update that Peter Magyar, this new leader of Hungary, future prime minister, stated that his government will analyze and, if necessary, review all agreements related to PAX-2 nuclear power plant project, which is being built by Russian Federation in Hungary. And this is a strategical project for Hungary, right? Because it's Hungary's economy and Hungarians that are going to benefit from the nuclear power plant, from the electricity that this power plant will generate. They might even be in a position to increase their export of the electricity. But you see, globalists don't care. Globalists don't care about core interests of the people, even in Western countries. They are ideologues, right? They only care about their agenda that they have. That's about it. And if Peter Madiar already questioning this PAX-2 nuclear power plant that was only approved like a couple of months ago. Construction, actual construction, I mean, began literally just now. Paperwork took quite a while. And so if Peter Magyar is already questioning PAX-2 nuclear power plant, which is a strategical project for Hungary, you can understand, you can know straight away that this guy will sign up for anything, no matter how harmful those decisions that will be dictated by globally is going to be for Hungarian people and Hungary's economy. They will go all the way. That's it. And this is lesson. This is also a lesson for Russian Federation. We should not be that quick to do business with the countries where globalists have a significant presence, because they might turn the table upside down anytime. And Russian investments gonna get lost, most likely. So, you know, and also interesting news from Europe, which is that Slovenia, Speaker of Slovenian Parliament announced a referendum on leaving NATO, which is a good stuff, which is interesting stuff. I was kind of surprised when I saw this report. I spoke about it in today's Walk and Talk video that I published on my Patreon and Boosted. Dear friends, let me give you that short clip from that first update, if I may, because you know, I don't really have much to add to that, to what I have said there in a video. And also you will take a look at, you know, to a fragment of this Walk and Talk. And somewhat surprising news for you, dear friends, in case you missed it. Quite surprising, which is that Slovenia plans to hold a referendum on a topic of leaving NATO. When I see this news, I was thinking, what? Really? That's interesting. And so, yes, I checked on several sources, and it is true. There is a promise from ruling party, I guess, from Speaker of Parliament there, that they're going to be a referendum on the topic of staying or leaving NATO. Let me give you some details on that. Slovenia intends to hold a referendum on leaving NATO. This was announced by Zoran Stefanovic, the new Speaker of National Assembly and leader of the Eurosceptic Pravda party. And I can give you a quote: "We will categorically oppose interference in other people's military and diplomatic conflicts because Slovenia never benefits from it. At the same time, I must say that we promised the people of referendum on leaving NATO, and we will hold that referendum," he told the radio TV station Slovenia, which is wow, really good for you guys, good for you, let me tell you that. I don't think Slovenian society I don't know, man. I mean, I don't really spend that much time to learn about some internal situation in Slovenia. So I cannot know for sure, but nevertheless, you see how globalists in Brussels was reacting on some independent steps from Hungary and Slovakia. And you think they will allow Slovenia to leave NATO? I don't think so. They're gonna go on offensive through propaganda, through all possible means, right? To make sure that either referendum not gonna take place, or people gonna vote in a way they will be told to vote. That's my take, but who knows? Who knows, man? Will be interesting. Will be interesting to see that members are leaving NATO. This will happen eventually, of course. I think first country that will actually leave NATO are gonna be Turkey. Under the Zionist pressure, I think, and Zionists are already designated. Zionists already designated Turkey as their next target. Under their pressure, I think globalists and neocons, they will push Turkey out. They will create circumstances in which Ankara will find it impossible to stay in this military alliance. So Turkey gonna be first, I think. But who knows, man? Who knows? Maybe Slovakia will manage to do it faster. Maybe that will be a massive surprise. Massive surprise. But yes, NATO is in question. That is for sure, and that's positive. That's positive stuff, I will say. This organization should be dissolved straight away after Soviet Union collapse, and unfortunately Western elites choose otherwise. And the world did face and continues to face so much destruction and carnage as a result of this decision and attempt of the Western ruling class to maintain unipolar control over the planet, really. They are failing, but they are so, I would say, weak in every possible sense when it comes to their human nature, that they cannot face the reality and acknowledge what's going on. They just cannot. They are incapable of that. So that was my commentary on this news today, this morning, while recording that first news update. I guess I said there everything that I think on the matter. Turkey definitely, I mean, not definitely, but most likely gonna be first country that will leave NATO, and then some others might actually follow. And when it comes to Turkey, dear friends, I mentioned there during today's first update that Turkey being already designated as a next target by Zionists, and assault on Turkey has already begun. And I have, for example, this report on this matter. Turkish Center for Countering Disinformation has officially rejected their false claims from media, Israeli media, Western media, that Turkey plans to invade Israel. And that's actually the reports that were published and spread by Western and Israeli media. For example, British Telegraph, that already deleted the article, actually was saying that Turkey plans to invade Israel, and Jerusalem Post Israeli so-called media is pushing the same narrative that somehow Turkey is targeting Israel. It's not other way around. It's all Israel is always how you say жертва. Они жертва по-английски как? Жертва. Victim, yes, victim. So Israel somehow is always victim, no matter atrocities they are committing, no matter how many acts of war and their actual wars they are launching. They somehow always want to be in this role of the victim. While in reality, all the neighbors of Israel are victims, peoples of the neighboring countries. And it is Israel that are already attacking Turkey, and they're giving their, quite significant influence that Zionists have in the circles of globalists all over the Europe and also in US. And let's remember that, let's not forget that globalists have their fraction in US too, powerful one. Democratic Party is a globalist, right? CIA is a globalist institution. And then many other, I can go on and on, right? So Zionists definitely have significant influence among globalists, and for sure they have influence among American neocons, right? So I think it is very much possible that in next 3 to 5 years, Zionists will push out Turkey from NATO. Very much possible. And remember, dear friends, when Assad's regime was overrun by terrorists that were supported by Turkey, Israel, US, UK, you name it, by the West, I said straight away that now Turkey and Israel are on a trajectory of their collision. And I was correct. It did not take much time before everybody sees this trajectory towards the collision now. Anyways, before I go through some other topics related to Iran, let me react to super chats. There was 2 super chats on Rumble since the beginning of live stream, and I'm streaming simultaneously on YouTube and Rumble. So let me react on the super chat, and then I will continue. With the news segment, and there is a lot of news, important ones, dear friends. Today is one of those days. Okay, наушники. And thank you very much, Scooby, for your Oh, really? Nidish is commenting that my video and audio was out of it did not work. You did not see the video. It worked okay. I don't know. Anna is telling me that video was okay. I don't know. Thank you very much, Scooby, for your super chat and $2 donation. And Scooby is commenting Syria, Moldova, Romania, Venezuela, Hungary, US, Indonesia, Defense Pact, Saudi Pact, Defense Pact. We in the multipolarity community are just taking one L after another. This is depressing. Well, I can see what you are saying. Globalists are on offensive. Globalists, neocon Zionists, and the Zionist allies, they are on offensive. They are on offensive. They are very aggressive, and on the surface, it definitely looks like a multipolar world is taking one end after another. It definitely looks like that, but I think it's only a matter of time, and I think it is a matter of time, and Western ruling class will run out of steam. They cannot be this aggressive all over the world. They just have no resources for that. They cannot sustain this level of aggression, which includes wars, actual wars, too. Not just political aggression, economical aggression, but also actual wars. They're not going to be able to sustain this level of hostility for significant time. And I guess once they will run out of steam, multipolar world will take some steps. But now, yes, I agree with you. On the surface, multipolar world is taking one L after another, and it is depressing to see. But give it time, Scooby. You know, major economies in the collective West, all major economies in the collective West, without exceptions, are in trouble, either in a recession or even on the border with a depression. And so, given this reality, you think how long Western ruling class that is in control of collective West countries, how long Western ruling class is going to be able to be this aggressive on the world scale, on a global scale. They are unable, now that Hungary is out of picture, still they are unable to allocate tranches for the regime to prolong this proxy war that they are waging. How? Why is that? And I think it was not just Hungary, it was of course Slovakia too that was opposing transfer of that 90 billion euros, but after Hungary is out of picture, I think Bratislava will cave in. They might try to resist, but they're not gonna withstand much longer. So technically speaking, Brussels has no that much of obstacles from political standpoint. So why they are changing their stance and now saying that maybe in the second half of a year they will make first transfers of this loan, because they are in much deeper trouble than many people think. That's why, isn't it? So let's wait. There is a Chinese say, isn't it, that that goes like, I will wait on the bank of the river. I will take my time, and until river will take until I will see bodies of my enemies in the river. This is not exact say. This is my interpretation of it. If you are, dear friends, familiar with this say, please share in the chat. So let's wait. Let's have a patience. Western ruling class not going to be able to sustain this high level of hostility for a significant time. Let's see. And also there was another super chat from Scooby. Once again, thank you very much, Scooby, for your super chat, and another super chat and another $2 donation. And Scooby is commenting, Ursula wants to turn the EU into proper super state. Do you still think Poland and Germany will be in a conflict? That's inevitable. That's absolutely inevitable. It's not about what I think. It's about trajectory. When I said straight away after Assad's regime collapsed that now Turkey and Israel are on trajectory of collision, many members of our community probably were saying, what are you talking about? Now everyone sees that. Same goes for Poland and Germany. These two countries, they are on a collision course. And I don't think there is a powerful enough forces either in Europe or on a global scale that would want to avoid this collision. In Europe, by the way, there is two forces that love to operate from the shadows. British aristocracy, that is, British ruling class, elites, and the French ruling class and elites. They are competing with each other, but same time, they want all the others throughout the Europe to know their place. And if they don't want to see anything anything more than success of each other, is some other powers to emerge. They're on a continent. It's not a continent, European part of Eurasian continent, let's say. And Poland definitely is a nation that has imperialist ambitions. It was an empire once. It has potential. It has a potential for sure. And well, I don't think I have to say anything about Germany. German people already proved that they are very much capable of anything. And now you see you see what's going on either in Germany or the Poland. These countries are competing with each other, which one will spend more on weapons. Poland was first that entered this arms race, this process of militarization, and they were justifying and still continue to justify everything by non-existing Russian threat. And Germany, even though Germany entered this race significantly late, they are in a position technologically, financially, many other ways, they are in a position to catch up with Poland and overrun even in a matter of decade, let's say. And they're going to end up they already are on a collision course. They already are in a collision course. Once this proxy war that West is waging against Russia will end, and once territories east of current administrative border of the Western Ukraine will be liberated from the NATO, from the Western control, and then western part of Ukraine will be claimed by Poland, Hungary, and Romania. At that point, when Poland will take back some 70%, about 70% of modern Western Ukraine, Germany gonna say, you know what? Okay, good for you, Poland. You got your eastern territories back. Now give us our eastern territories back that you got as a compensation after Second World War. And I think territorial issue will be one among many that will cement inevitability of the clash between these two and their allies. That war, give it to 10-15 years, by the way, war between Germany and Poland will be reality, maybe even sooner than that. I'm quite sure about it. And when it comes to Ursula von der Leyen and what European Commission and globalists want her, well, they are losing. They are losing. They might not realizing that yet, but one might argue they already lost her. And Europe is doomed. Europe is doomed, man. Give it 20-30 years, Europe gonna enter such a dark place that even I cannot imagine. That's how doomed Europe is for their policies of the last 20-30 decades. Policies of globalists and globalist control regimes all over that part of the world. So it does not really matter what Ursula wants. They might make many statements. They might try to transform this European Union, this formally organization, economical union, into military alliance, into even a quasi-state, and process is clearly underway. But they're not going to be able to succeed in that. rise of Eurosceptics, economical issues all over the EU member states, social issues, and social fabric is stretched beyond imagination, actually, in many, many European countries, leading ones. And many other issues will never allow globalists and their puppets in Brussels to actually succeed in this process of monopolizing power, political, economical, military power in Brussels' hands. They're not going to be able to do so. But they're going to try, of course, and they will continue their attempts for next 10, 15 years, but eventually they're going to end up in they're going to lose eventually. So that's how it is. When it comes to Germany and Poland, mark my word, Scooby, it's a matter of 10, 15 years max, and they're going to fight. I'm quite sure about it. I mean, I don't see any other way how these two countries can exist, right, on the current trajectories. They're going to clash, inevitable. And no one going to stop them, actually. You know, there might be some statements here and there, but no one actually going to try to stop, because London don't want Germany to become too powerful. London don't want even Poland to become too powerful, because Poland now is a British proxy. And if Warsaw gains too much power, too much momentum, Polish elites at some point might say, you know what, we no longer need to be their puppets. We can do our thing now. And London don't want that. And same goes for France. They don't want no competitors on the continent, you know. So that's what I think about it. Thank you very much, Scooby, for your super chat and their donations through super chat. And dear friends, let's continue now with the news segment, Middle East now. Almost an hour this stream, and there is so many news to report about, important ones. So okay, without further delay, let's go through this stuff here. You know, dear friends, US embargo is in force on Iran. Formally it called, as far as I can tell, blockade of Strait of Hormuz, but only for Iran. Strait of Hormuz and Iranian ports all along the southern coastline of Iran. But, and you know, Iranian side says that if they would not be able to enjoy free navigation, then no one else will in the region. IRGC made that statement and let everybody know what's going to happen if they have no access to maritime routes there. Well, already a number of countries, including former allies of US, like Saudi Arabia, UK, France, you know, sending messages to Washington to, you know, to stop, basically, and to revoke this embargo on Iran. Wall Street Journal, for example, report that Saudi Arabia is pressuring the US and demanding the lifting of blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Riyadh fears that Trump's decision to close the strait could provoke Iran into retaliatory measures. I mean, really? They already said that if free navigation is not for them, then no one will enjoy free navigation there. And Iran proved many times that they are in a position to shut down not just Strait of Hormuz, but entire Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman if they want to, actually. So Saudi Arabia is demanding this blockade to be lifted by US, and also we have reports that two closest US allies have spoken against this blockade of Strait of Hormuz. Britain and France have spoken out against the US blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, announced on Monday. UK Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves, stressed that London will not participate in this initiative. We think this is a wrong approach, she told the Mirror media outlet. Reeves also criticized Washington for not having a plan to end the conflict with Iran, calling their approach insane. Some strong words there from London. At the same time, French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot called their decision to block the Strait of Hormuz illegal. He fears that these actions will further harm global trade and worsen the situation in his country. And yes, some logical takes from London and France, but yet again, I think none of these capitals are genuine. None of them are genuine. This is just a part of a game. This is just part of a game. Before European NATO member states will join this war openly, that's the position that they're gonna take. They're gonna act as if they actually are for de-escalation and for peace and this and that. They will even criticize US for its actions. But once globalists, neocons, and Zionists will implement whatever steps they are planning to implement to then orchestrate direct involvement of European NATO member states into this war, and that includes, of course, false flag operations that will be conducted by Israeli, US, or British Secret Services, for example. After that, very same people that are now critical of US will be very much for this war. Just mark my word. That's how it's going to be. Those people cannot be trusted. These are mediocre actors. That's all it is, really. Low-level professionals in their fields of expertise, and they're mediocre actors. Or bad actors. I mean, honestly, bad actors. That's what they are. So how should there any word from them be taken, can be taken seriously? I don't know. And next 2 to 4 weeks will unveil their everything, or significant part of the reality, actual reality. And I think my words will be much more convenienter after that. Right now, some members of the community might think that I'm exaggerating, and these Western so-called elites are not that bad and they can be trusted and they are not playing and this and that. No, man, no, they are playing the games. They are poorly informed, obviously, because why would their actual decision makers among globalists or the Zionists or neocons will give them a full understanding of their strategy? They wouldn't. They are only giving them portions of their information that is necessary to move them around on this desk, right? On this desk of a Middle Eastern geopolitical chess game, let's say. They're only given, enough information to be easily moved around on the desk. That's all it is. RIA Novosti is reporting that China, meanwhile, challenged US's embargo or blockade, whatever, and Chinese tanker went through Hormuz Strait without issues. So China-linked tanker under the US sanctions, not just any tanker, but tanker that was sanctioned by US already. So Chinese-linked tanker under US sanctions passed through the Strait of Hormuz despite Washington's blockade, Bloomberg reports, which is quite a big deal, isn't it? Is there any blockade actually, or Trump and SETCOM and Trump and US militaries are just making up stories? How this Chinese vessel that is sanctioned managed to pass through Strait of Hormuz without any issues? And dear friends, Beijing was very clear already yesterday, almost straight after Trump's decision to impose blockade on the Strait of Hormuz, China was, very direct in their response. They said that they will continue to cooperate with Iran. They will continue to not just buy whatever they want to buy from Iran, but also they will continue to pay taxes that Iranian side will demand to pass through Strait for their services, basically, right? To orchestrate safe passage of the vessels. So Chinese said to American side that they just don't care. They don't care. They will do whatever is in their interests. And today they demonstrated that this is serious. Chinese linked tanker successfully passed through Strait of Hormuz, and as of now, there are no reports that this vessel being detained or targeted or anything. And also, when it comes to China-US relationships, as I just mentioned, China, Chinese Foreign Ministry also make it clear that Beijing will retaliate on US if Washington will go ahead and impose some 50% tariffs on China due to these speculations in Western media that China is supplying weapons to or plans to supply weapons to Iran. China has always acted prudently and responsibly regarding their export of military products and exercises strict control in accordance with the regulations as well as relevant international obligations. Media reports accusing China of providing military support to Iran are pure fiction. If the US continues to raise tariffs on China based on these false narratives, China will respond with their countermeasures. And they will. And there is no way US can prove that China sent anything anywhere unless China will want their actions to be seen, because for God's sake, man, Chinese companies can transfer weapons to Tajikistan. They can sign up contract today with Tajikistan about supply of any type of weapons of any number, and then Tajikistan might sell it to, or maybe they will just gift it to Iran. There is so many ways how weapons might end up from one hand to another, how weapons might change hands, that you're not going to be able to actually prove anything. You might have good hints, you might have good understanding of what's up, but what's going on, but you're not going to be able to influence their situation. And the US is definitely in no position to bully China with tariffs and stuff. They tried a couple of times and failed. So warning from China there, not to mess around. And there are also Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is in China today, right now, and already had a meeting with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi in Beijing. And of course, among many topics of discussion between their two sides, and there is of course delegations from both sides that will have a contact there. Of course, among many topics, bilateral relationships and this and that, or Middle Eastern stuff, gonna be discussed on expert level. Foreign ministers might take a look at the situation, exchange opinions, but of course there is a other side of negotiations when experts that are always in shadows are communicating and they're agreeing certain policies that don't have to be public. That's what is most important, because during these high-level meetings of high-ranking officials, usually they don't really say much, just the smiles, handshakes, or this and that, or how good relationships are and how big of prospects we have to further improve relationships. That's the usual stuff, isn't it? Usual statements. But what is actually important is what these experts that are following this delegation, these high-ranking officials, what they are negotiating and working on. And I think Moscow and Beijing will definitely cooperate on topic of assisting Iran to make sure that the Western ruling class not going to be able to succeed in this Middle Eastern chapter, because neither of us can afford Western elites to succeed, neither Moscow, neither Beijing, and neither humanity, for that matter. So important stuff there, I think, very important stuff. And also, while all this is happening, rumors began emerging about possible next meeting between Iranian and US delegations. I said it already in my previous updates that Western ruling class and the puppet regimes all over the West that they control, including US, Israel, including European countries, they need at least 2 to 4 weeks to prepare ground as much as they possibly can for next phase of escalation. And what they're going to do this several weeks, they're going to pretend that they are engaged in the talks. And that's what they do. And therefore, Western so-called media, first and foremost, simultaneously began pushing this narrative that they're going to be next round of talks between Iranian and American side, is if anyone actually expects any real breakthrough to happen during these talks. No one expects that. Everyone understands that US is just buying time. Everyone understands that Western ruling class is just buying time. But nevertheless, that's yet another narrative now that we will have to listen and read about for next 2 to 4 weeks until Western ruling class will launch the next phase of this war. So next round of US-Iranian talks could take place in Geneva or Islamabad. Their Associated Press reports citing sources. According to those sources, the parties are discussing the possibility of holding follow-up meetings in the Pakistan capital. Meanwhile, US administration officials are citing Geneva as a possible venue for a new round of talks. It is noted that their time and their place of the meeting between Iranian and American representatives has not yet been determined, but there is a possibility that a new round of negotiations could take place as early as April 14, in 2 days' time. Maybe there will be a meeting, but it just will be games, theater. It will be just a theater, because Western ruling class has no intention to back down. Western ruling class and their Zionist allies have no intention to de-escalate. All they are focused on is to continue war and to continue destabilization of the Middle East, to cut off this region from the global economy for as long as possible. That's what their interest is. And I think Iranians understand this, but this break can be used by Iran too, because they were hit hard during the first phase of this war, and of course they can use this so-called ceasefire to rearm, reorganize, to receive some additional assistance from friendly nations to prepare for the next phase better. RIA Novosti is also reporting that it's not just Associated Press, but Bloomberg reports a new US-Iran meeting could take place in Turkey or Egypt. So it's a speculation. It's a mess, right? It's a mess, really. Islamabad, Geneva, Cairo, Ankara, what else? Maybe tomorrow, the New York Times will write that next meeting between Iranians and their Americans going to take place in Antarctica, and penguins, local penguins will have free tickets to attend or something like that. Come on, man, this is just too much, really. So a new round of conflict resolution talks between Iran and United States could take place in Turkey or Egypt Bloomberg reports, I think source familiar with the matter. Earlier, China Central Television, citing informed sources, claimed that US and Iranian representatives would hold the talks in Islamabad this week. I guess that Chinese Central Television reported this based on Associated Press's original report. But you see, man, no one knows what's up, man. No one knows what's going on. And this fog of war, this misinformation, disinformation will continue and continue and continue, and it will become even more and more difficult as time goes by to understand what the hell is going on. Even more difficult to understand for ordinary people that don't really pay much attention, right? And don't know some nuances and the details. To have a more or less good understanding, at least about trajectory of this or that development, right? Also, when it comes to these games that Washington plays on topic of negotiations and the escalation and stuff, well, lately, U.S. officials have new talking points that even more confuses people in US, I guess. But these new talking points are enriched uranium, and the nuclear program. No one is mentioning no more anything else. And initially there was a lot of other stuff, right? From human rights to ballistic missiles, everything. But now it's Iran's non-existent military nuclear program, enriched uranium. J.D. Vance had an interview. He gave the interview to Fox News, and he went to repeat these talking points. We must have their enriched material out of Iran. We must have their conclusive commitment to not develop nuclear weapons. And you know straight away that this stand of US is just an attempt to buy some time, because when you demand from the party, from your opponent, when you demand something that they cannot agree on, then you are just messing around in that case, right? If you were serious, you will come up with some serious initiatives. And this is not serious when US officials, Trump, Vance, all the others, are saying that Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. I mean, did they ever produce any evidence that Iran actually has a military nuclear program? Never. And last time I checked, US intelligence chief Tulsi Gabbard said that Iran has no military nuclear program. So how are they going to give up something that they don't have? And what that even means when J.D. Vance says we must have their conclusive commitment to not develop nuclear weapons. What they going to do, man? Dance on their ears or what? Jump out of socks? What they going to do to convince you? And why they have to convince you in the first place? In anything, really. When they know you are not an honest actor. And when it comes to this enriched uranium, just to demonstrate how fake this American leadership is, you remember, dear friends, a couple of months ago I was reporting, and I believe Maria Zakharova also, not just some other officials, but Maria Zakharova, official representative for Foreign Ministry, also confirmed this, that Moscow offered Iran assistance in terms of enriched uranium. Moscow was and still is to this moment ready to take this enriched uranium from Iran if this will help in terms of the escalation. And this Russian initiative didn't succeed. And you know why? according to reports, and correct me if I'm wrong, Washington was against it. Washington was against this transfer of enriched uranium from Iran to Russia. And why they were against it? Because they needed to have a talking point. If Russia actually took this enriched uranium, then what would they talk about now? They will have no talking point on this matter of nuclear weapons. Because if there is no enriched uranium, if all their facilities, nuclear facilities, are destroyed, obliterated, whatever, then why you are talking about nuclear bombs again? People will ask, more people will ask. And to make sure they have a talking point, they blocked this idea, this initiative of Moscow to take Iranian enriched uranium. And this initiative dates back before previous war, before previous attacks on Iran, I believe. You know? And then, since then, during this second round of negotiations, when US attacked again, before that second round of negotiations, Moscow once again make it clear that Russia can help and take this enriched uranium, but Washington blocked the idea. You tell me why. It's obvious they wanted to have a talking point. That, you see they have uranium enriched up to 60%, and this is an issue, and they enrich uranium so much because they want to build nuclear weapons. Why would why for any other reason? Why would they enrich uranium for otherwise? And I explained before why they enrich uranium up to 60%. They demonstrated that they are capable of enriching uranium up to military grade, but they chose not to. And while demonstrating their capabilities, Iran just wanted to be member of this club of countries that have a latent nuclear deterrent, like Germany, like Japan, like Brazil, and a number of other countries. And Tehran probably was thinking that this might actually deter their enemies from attacking, but it did not. It just did not. And now this enriched uranium is being used against Iran, and no one is explaining to the Western public, right, why Iran actually enriched up to 60%. No one is explaining to Western public that Iran wanted to be a member of that club of countries that have latent nuclear deterrent. Correct? Anyways, man, Washington is full of crap. It's a fake. US political class is so freaking fake, man. So disgusting. It's just unbelievable, man. It's just unbelievable. And there is also this report from New York Times that allegedly Washington demands from Iran to agree that they will not enrich uranium for next 20 years. Iran is saying that they can make a pause in uranium enrichment for 5 years. Allegedly, this is Washington Post's reporter. Iran, based on this report, is willing to go for a compromise. And they might say, okay, for 5 years, we will not enrich uranium. But 20 years, seriously? And after all, we should understand, you friends, that Iran is a member of the Non-Proliferation Treaty. And members of Non-Proliferation Treaty have every right to have a full cycle of civilian nuclear program. And that includes enrichment too. Iran is a member of the Non-Proliferation Treaty, and no one ever produced any evidences that Iran was violating its obligations. There is a lot of talk, but not a single evidence. But yet again, all these demands from Washington, all this BS is just to gain some time. Reload, rearm, reorganize to launch next phase of this war, and that's it, really. That's why that's for what this time will be used, not just by Washington, but by Israeli side and European capitals will do the same. Because European countries, it might not look like it now, dear friends. I can understand that. When I say that European countries will join this war, you might say, yes, but Levan, you see the statements of the European leaders, sir? They are kind of opposing this war. They are against it and stuff. Yes, publicly, yes. That's the statements that they make. But do you actually believe them? They are puppets of globalists, right? And you don't think this war could happen without globalists' direct involvement. Not just direct involvement, but without globalist orders. Correct? And you don't think that globalists were planning to use only US and Israel. And they had no backup plans to deploy Europeans. It's a matter of time. It's a matter of time until they will implement certain actions, including false flag operations, and European countries will join this war. Not all of them, obviously, but countries that can provide long-range weaponry, first and foremost. UK, France, Germany. It's just a matter of time. 2 to 4 weeks. 2 to 4 weeks. And as a at least indirect indicator that my reading of the big picture is correct again, well, you tell me if US is actually serious about the escalation. Why on earth they are spending literally tens of millions of dollars every single day to move their aircraft strike group, another one, towards the Middle East? This time, USS H.W. Bush, one of the latest aircraft carriers, if not the latest one. Why US is moving this aircraft carrier and the entire strike group, basically, towards the Middle East, if they are about to actually end the war? Makes no sense, right? You will only move this much of a force in certain direction if you're inclined to do something there. And dear friends, yesterday there was reports initially during the day that this strike group, aircraft strike group, led by USS H.W. Bush, entered Gibraltar, that connects, of course, Mediterranean with the Atlantics. But later on, number of sources, including USNI News, the media arm of the US Naval Institute, according to their information, USS H.W. Bush and the entire strike force is basically planning to get to Middle East, not through Mediterranean, not through Suez Channel and then Red Sea, which will be short route, but they plan to go around Africa, entire continent, and get to Arabian Sea that way. Which is interesting. I don't know. Maybe decision makers in US Navy were watching my yesterday's or my previous updates when I was talking about possible scenarios how US military or naval assets, let's say, could be destroyed in a Suez Channel, and relatively easily, by the way, actually, right? With some drones and stuff. Maybe they were scared. Of course, they were not listening to my live streams, but they were kind of scared. If this report is correct, and they are sending this strike group towards Middle East, while around African continent, then clearly they are scared, right? They are scared of Houthi rebels that might strike them in the Red Sea, and they probably are also scared of Iranians and are afraid to enter Suez Channel. Could be case, yes, maybe, right? And I'm surprised. I'm surprised, man, that a number of U.S. military aircrafts, military naval assets, let's say, including aircraft carrier Gerald Ford, passed through Suez Channel without being targeted, which is insane. It does not take that much to organize special units, to send those special units into Egypt, station them some 20, 30, depends on the drones, even 40 kilometers away from the channel, on both sides of the channel, even, and just wait when some high value target will pass through channel, like aircraft carrier, and take action. And all it takes, by the way, like 10 explosions on the deck of aircraft carrier, even relatively small explosions, and that's it. Aircraft carrier is out of action for a very long time, because plane's not going to be able to take off and land if surface there is damaged. Of course, those drones not going to be able to sink the carrier, of course not, but all you have to do is just do some little bit of damage, and the drones are capable of that very much. You can damage your deck, you can damage your island of aircraft carrier. That's it, man. So yeah, anyways, that third aircraft carrier that US is sending against Iran will arrive, I guess, if aircraft carrier only now began moving around Africa, then it will arrive, I guess, in about a week's time, somewhere around Somali coast, or maybe even enter Arabian Sea. We will find out. But I think something interesting is there. Also, Australia may take a part, according to reports, in efforts to ensure freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz if a lasting ceasefire is achieved. Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles said this, and yet again, it's not just Australia. Same take will be announced, and in some cases already was done by a number of European countries. And at that point, when one of, not necessarily Australia, because now Australia is not NATO member state, it is AUKUS member, but when any minesweeping, let's say, vessel of any European NATO member state will enter Strait of Hormuz, and once it's targeted, and it's not going to be Iranians necessarily that will take action. It might be Israelis, it might be US, Americans, Brits, or all of them together. They can do this false flag operation easy, right? And they will blame Iran, of course. And once the, for example, vessel is targeted, that's it, man, Article 5. And UK, I believe, already says, France and Germany, if I remember correctly, already said that once there is ceasefire in place, they might send their minesweepers. They might send their naval assets to help navigation in Hormuz Strait. And you can understand it only takes like relatively low-level false flag operation on behalf of Israeli Mossad, CIA, and British US CIA and British MI6 to sink even that minesweeper or whatever naval asset of European NATO member states, and that's it. NATO is in a war. Article 5, and that's it. And I guess these kind of scenarios and many others were discussed in Washington D.C. from 9 to 12 April, when Bilderberg Club conducted its annual meeting, some say emergency annual meeting, and among attendants, cameras spotted head of British MI6, Blaise Matravelli. You can see on your screen right now this person, and yeah, this is serious. This is serious, isn't it? This is serious because yet again, this unfortunately these people, Western ruling class, globalists, neocons, Zionists, and all the assets that they have in different positions, in MI6 or in CIA or Mossad or in the governments, or as the presidents and prime ministers and just you name it, they have so much power concentrated in their hands that they can come up with any freaking scenario, right? To push forward, or at least try to push their agenda. They can come up with any level of false flag operation. Anything, actually. They have resources for that. And of course, presence of MI6 chief on that meeting, Bilderberg Club meeting, which is obviously a tool of globalists. Bilderberg Club is a tool of globalists, right? Of course, presence of individuals like that definitely indicates once again that they are working on dodgy stuff, man. They are working on dodgy stuff, and on internet, I mean, they have a page. I guess this is official page, bilderbergmeetings.org. Sounds like, I don't know, official page. And here there is a massive list of attendees on that meeting that took place in Washington D.C. and there is no Blaise Matravelli's name here. So there are a lot of people that are attending these meetings that are not mentioned anywhere, and if she was not spotted, am I back? Anna just told me that, I mean, maybe there was some issue with the internet, and I just, okay, I am back. I'm back. My apologies for this technical stuff, dear friends, but yeah, I guess there was some issue with the internet. And I was talking about, yeah, thank you, dear friends, for letting me know that there was issues with the video. And I was talking about conversation between Lavrov and his colleague from UAE, and well, I was basically repeating. I don't know when exactly I went off. So I was saying that, in my personal opinion, Western ruling class failed to push Gulf monarchies into this war against Iran, at least as of now, mainly because of their very skilled diplomacy of Russian leadership. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov was on daily basis engaged with his colleagues from the Gulf. Russian president was engaged in the talks with his colleagues from the Gulf almost every other day. And I think Moscow played key role to make sure that Gulf monarchy is going to be able to withstand pressure from the Western ruling class and stay out of this war. Although, of course, I will acknowledge that Beijing, New Delhi, many other capitals also were actively engaged and still are diplomatically to make sure that entire Western ruling class not going to succeed to engulf entire region into fire and violence on ethnic and sectarian lines, and that's what Western elites want, of course, right? So Lavrov had a conversation with the UAE, with his colleague from UAE, and I guess that happened shortly before he took off for China, where he is right now. Also, I think this information worth our attention. Iran is demanding compensations from Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, and Jordan for their role in the US-Israeli operation, according to later from the Islamic Republic's permanent representative to UN, Amir Said Iravani, obtained by the RIA Novosti. Why not Kuwait, though? Why not Kuwait? Kuwaiti territory was also used to target Iran. I find this strange that Iran has no demanded compensations from Kuwait, but I don't know. Kuwait soon may become part of Iraq again, so maybe that has something to do with this stuff. And there is reports that Iranian side have already assessed preliminary. They already have preliminary assessment of the damage that was done to Iran during this first phase of war that US and Israel launched, and they are evaluating damage approximately as in $270 billion. $270 billion. When I saw this report, I was a bit surprised. Only 270 billion after months of constant bombing and stuff. But yes, that's the number that is coming from Iranian side. 270 billion, and Iran will get this money one way or another. Through taxes, through this, through that, but they will get this money. They're going to tax entire region there, and maybe they will tax entire wall. But they will get their compensations, rightfully so, because they were not attacking nobody. They were attacked, and of course they need their compensations now to to pay compensations to all their families that lost their loved ones, to rebuild their housing for tens of thousands of people who lost their houses, to rebuild all their infrastructure that was damaged and destroyed. And of course, someone going to pay for that, and either it's going to be US and Israel, and it is very unlikely that they will pay anything. In that case, it's going to be Gulf monarchies, and if Gulf monarchies will say no, then Iran will just tax them, and the rest of the world with them, and the rest of the world too, with taxes on shipping in the Persian Gulf, Hormuz Strait, whatever. They will get their compensation one way or another. Also, let me remind you, dear friends, that Israel continues to commit crimes against humanity, war crimes in Lebanon. And according to Lebanese health ministry, yesterday alone, Israelis killed at least 34 people, 174 was injured. Overall number of killed civilians in Lebanon since this round of escalation by Israel is by yesterday was 2,089, and 6,762 civilians were wounded. But today there are more reports about large-scale strikes all over Lebanon, and about an hour before I launched this live stream, I read on one of their Telegram channels that already 100 civilians, more than 100 civilians were killed by Israel during this morning's attacks. And there are numerous videos that are circulating on internet with their civilian apartments being blown up, entire blocks were destroyed and stuff. So unfortunately, tragically, I'm afraid today Israel will kill and already killed another hundreds of civilians in Lebanon, and they're injured even more. Also, you are familiar, of course, dear friends, with this row that is going on between Trump and Pope, isn't it? Trump was asked if he would like to apologize to head of Catholic Church, Pope, and he said no. And he went to criticize Pope Leo again. Earlier, he called him weak and said that it's only because of Trump Pope Leo managed to become a pope, which is very insulting. Not just to Pope, but also to all the Catholics worldwide and to Vatican, because Trump is implying that he has power over their cardinals. Which is crazy. Of course, he does not. And yesterday, during the second live stream in the evening, I said that Trump probably has no freaking idea about actual power that Vatican holds. He went a bit too far, and if no one is stopping him, then it might happen that Vatican will strike back. Technically, not without making any noise, but they will strike back hard and neutralize all these gangs of so-called Christian Zionists and stuff like that are not really Christians. Let's start from there. So someone have to tell Trump to chill. I mean, Vatican is not a force that you can mess with in a way that Trump does. And by the way, I have no sympathies towards Vatican. Let's make it clear. Vatican, in my personal opinion, is an enemy of Orthodox Christianity. So I have no sympathies for Vatican whatsoever. But this does not mean that I wouldn't acknowledge objective reality, that Vatican is one of the most powerful forces in this world. They actually hold the power. And Trump is messing with the wrong guys there. That's for sure. And of course, he insulted like tens of millions of Catholics in America, and there are hundreds of millions of Catholics worldwide. Why he's doing this kind of stuff, I don't know, man. It's insane, but Trump is Trump. At this point, probably not that many people have doubts that he's out of his freaking mind. He posted this on his True Social, this image where he's depicted as as Jesus, which is insane. I mean, do I have to even comment on that? Clearly, I mean, normal human being will never do anything like that. You will never even think about this. It's just not happening. Normal people don't operate that way. So this post alone demonstrates that Trump is out of his freaking mind. And then he went to kind of justify posting this, that he was thinking that he was depicted as a like doctor or something. I mean, really? What the hell, man? What the hell? And he deleted. Eventually, he deleted this, but this is just too bad, man. Too bad. And J.D. Vance, person that wrote a book, actually wrote a book about becoming a Christian, Catholic Christian, or finding his way again into Christianity, and he's a Catholic. At least that's what he claims. He was asked about all this situation with Trump and his conflict with the Vatican, with the Pope Leo. And according to him, Trump posted an AI-generated image of himself as a Jesus, as a joke that a lot of people did not understood. I mean, really? This is words of devoted Catholic, as J.D. Vance presents himself or pretends to be? This is a reaction of actually devoted Catholic? His speaker was insulted, and he is saying that Trump was just joking. I mean, what? This clearly demonstrates how fake these people are, man. How disgustingly fake these people are. All of them. There is not a single decent human being in the Western elites. I'm telling you, I have said this a million times, and I will repeat a million times. There is not a single decent human being in the Western elites, period. They all are corrupt. They all are compromised. None of them have principles, values, dignity, decency. They all are scumbags. And J.D. Vance is a typical example. He pretends to be this devoted Christian, and he's writing books about it. And when his spiritual leader is attacked, he cannot say nothing. He's saying that this was a joke that people didn't understood. What are you talking about? Don't say nothing. If you cannot defend your religion and your religious leader, don't say nothing then. But to say this crap, wow, that's quite something, man. That's quite something. Anyways, I hope more and more people in US, man, see how fake their leadership is, man. I truly hope so. And hopefully they will pay more attention to other people that are in shadows, that are ignored by system and their MSM and everything, because not just ignored, but pushed away, because those people are actually decent ones, right? And if Americans pay attention to actually decent human beings that are trying to do something for them, for Americans and for America, maybe one day US citizens will actually manage to regain control over their own country and their own destiny. But until these fake people are formally in charge, and until in reality some shadow forces, these special groups of interests are pulling the strings and calling the shots, US gonna be tool and nothing more. just a tool, as it is right now, and as it was basically since the creation, I will argue. There was a couple of attempts to change this reality, and last attempt was made by JFK, and you know how he finished, right? US was created as a tool and served as a tool since the creation, basically. Tool in hands of these special groups of interests, mostly based in Europe, not even in US. And you might say, yeah, but there was a revolution and the US was fighting with UK. Yeah. And so what? And so what? To create tool, sometimes you're gonna do some extraordinary stuff. It takes time, energy, assets. You have to come up with all sorts of stories. And eventually you will get a tool in your hands, powerful one. And that's what British aristocracy, French aristocracy, this is combined project of theirs, man. That's what they did, actually. They pull off this trick, man. And let's not forget that these founder fathers, or whatever Americans are calling their first leaders, how come that practically all of them were Masons? You know? Just a random accident? Really? I don't think so. And right now, dear friends, right now, gifted premium membership to a member of our community on Rumble, which is basically $5 donation to this project. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So thank you very much, Scooby, for this gift to a member of our community. This is of course $5 donation to this project too. So big helper and assistance. So thank you very much, Scooby, for being very supportive, very active member of community, and they're very supportive. Thank you very much. You and Viper and many thanks to everyone, of course, to everyone. If I began naming names that of people, nicknames of the people that are supporting, you know, I might forget some names, and there are some people gonna get upset on me. So thank you all, dear friends. Many thanks to everybody who supports, and who might support in the future to maintain this project, to stay in this field, basically. And hopefully I'm doing good enough job, man, and I try my best to do better job as time goes by. So thank you very much, Scooby. And let me continue. I have some economical news, mostly about aviation. There was a super chat. Okay, I will react on this super chat after a couple of news, if I may. And yesterday, during the second update, dear friends, I shared the information that in Kazan, capital of Tatarstan Autonomous Republic of the Russian Federation, market of model of promising wide-body Tu-454 airliner was spotted. You can see this model on your screen right now. And even though right now, as of now, United Aircraft Corporation is more focused on production of Tu-14s, they are looking into the future, and they already are working on the development of a next generation plane. And their Tu-454 is, once it will go into production, will operate in the same way, on the same routes as a Boeing 787 Dreamliner and their Airbus 350. Hopefully, Tu-454 will even manage to compete with their Boeing and their Airbus in this segment of wider body long-range civilian aircraft, hopefully. And meanwhile, we have about civilian aviation, we have also this update that according to Ministry of Industry and Trade here in Russia, the first 18 MS-21 airliners will be delivered to carriers in 2026, 2027. So that's wonderful news. That's wonderful news, man. I guess mass production of these planes is either already begun or about to be launched, because 18 planes until end of 2027. That's I mean, if you have to have grounds to be able to build 18 planes, right, in this relatively short time. And I remind you that import that are completely domestically built MS-21 on completely domestic everything is just recently I reported that its certification will not finish probably before end of this year. So there is if I'm not mistaken, there is a different MS-21s, one that is completely domestically built, and one that is still uses some foreign components. And I guess these are 18 planes include that foreign components, but then probably completely domestically built ones will go into mass production. Because I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, I reported that certification of this plane will probably would not even be finalized this year, because it's still in a test flight phase. So, but anyways, that's a good news. That's a good news there. Of course, also we have an update on the Baikal aircraft, also civilian one. Work on the Baikal aircraft has entered their certification testing, and this is unlike previous ones. This one is a small aircraft carrier for short range, for regional, local regional routes, and this plane, I guess destined to replace legendary AN-2 that still flies to nowadays, by the way, Kukuruznik. They are destined to replace AN-2, and hopefully soon all these testings will successfully finish, and the airliners will have opportunity to get their hands on this new aircraft for regional flights. And dear friends, when it comes to new segment, let me also give you this information also about aviation, that Rosoboronexport announced their signing of contracts for the sale of Su-57E. E means export variant of Russian 5th gen fighter jet. So Russia has already signed several contracts for the sale of their Su-57E 5th generation fighter jets, and the list of customers for the aircraft is expanding. Rosoboronexport announced on Tuesday ahead of a DSA 2026 arms exhibition in Malaysia. And this is good, man. This is great news. First country that brought Su-57s is Algeria. I believe I have shared there quite a number of times some videos from made in Algeria that were depicting Algerian Su-57s in Algerian Air Force. And now with this report, of course, everyone gonna speculate which other countries have brought this plane. I don't think it's India. There is still talks in place, but India, I don't think India has signed up any contracts as of now, at least. Maybe I don't know. Maybe some countries in global south, because quite a number of them are operating with Su-30s, right? And maybe They will purchase. They did purchase SU-57s too. Don't know. I don't know. I mean, hard to tell. Could be Egypt. Maybe. But either way, Russian SU-57 is finding its customers, which is a great deal, which is a good, by the way. More planes Russia will sell, of course, more income corporation will have to invest to further intensify or accelerate the production. Right, and cheaper the planes will become. More planes you make, of course, they are becoming cheaper and cheaper. So good news there. Good news that Russian SU-57 is finding its success on an international market. Good, man. And as I said, dear friends, just a few minutes ago, there was a super chat. Let me highlight this super chat, and that's about it for today's live stream. Today's first live stream. I mean, shortly later on today, I will launch at 9 p.m. I will launch second live stream. Most likely, it depends how day goes, of course, news-wise. Let me highlight this super chat, dear friends, here. Also from Scooby. Wow, Nidish Kumar is sharing some breaking news stuff. We will go right now, by the way. Thank you, Nidish, for sharing. I will react on this super chatter, and then let's go check some Telegram channels. They will probably have videos of that. And thank you very much, Scooby. Thank you very much, Scooby, once again for your super chat and the $2 donation. Scooby is commenting nuclear fusion and hydrogen energy have a massive potential in terms of Europe, you are writing there, EROEI, and could both be utilized at scale by the 2040 with entirely different supply chains for these situations. What of Russia? Well, Russia is one of the leading countries when it comes to fusion research. It's even Soviet Union was one of the leading countries, Scooby, in this field, and Russia is still there. And right now in Europe, in France, I believe, experimental reactor is being built there, and there is a high expectation. And Russia is part of that project, despite all these sanctions and all this craziness, all this hostility from the West. Russia is still part of that project. That is focused on the fusion reactor, fusion physics of fusion. And here in Russia, also work is done in this direction. Of course, we are hearing about some stories about fusion reactors developments from the West, from Europe, from China. Very little from Russia, but that's also kind of tradition since the Soviet era. That's how I guess that's how Soviet Union and Russia are operating. They don't really make much noise whenever they are achieving some progress in any field, really, right? But I'm quite sure we have quite a good achievements in this field. After all, Russia is one of the leading scientific nations in this world, right? And I agree with you. Fusion, of course, has tremendous potential. Fusion has a tremendous potential, 100%. And I don't know about 2040. It looks like these fusion reactors always are like 20, 30 years away, and this is happening for I don't know, man, some 60, 70 years now. Since humanity managed to create fission reactors, talk began about fusion reactors, right? And for members of community that are not paying much attention to physics, fission is when atoms are split. That's what's happening in reactors, nuclear reactors that are operational right now. And fusion reactors in the future will fuse atoms. That's the physics that is happening in the sun when two atoms being fused there. And during the creation of a new element, basically, tremendous volume of energy is released. And when we are talking about quintillions of atoms being fused simultaneously, that's a thermonuclear. I mean, if you want to have a better understanding what that can do, take a look at the thermonuclear explosions, for example. That's a fusion explosion. So fusion definitely has a tremendous potential, of course. But I'm not quite sure that we will have operational, commercial fusion reactions adopted by 2040. I mean, maybe I'm too skeptical. I don't know. When it comes to hydrogen energy, well, technologies already are there, but in hydrogen, if you mean gasoline to be replaced by hydrogen in the cars, for example, technology is already there, but it's many experts still to nowadays find it just too risky. In certain circumstances, these cars might become freaking bombs, small bombs, not hydrogen bombs, by the way. It's technology is not quite there yet. I know already Toyota has vehicles, I believe, that maybe they stopped producing them, but it was like hydrogen electric vehicles, something like that. There is potential there too, of course. I mean, some people say in idea, even from water, they're just tap water. You take tap water, and if you have technology, you can generate energy from tap water, right? You don't have to go gas. You don't have to go for gas, hydrogen or whatever. You can use tap water, and you have energy. And there is speculations on internet that in 50s or 60s, some allegedly some American engineer actually created a vehicle that was somehow operating on hydrogen, on water. Maybe somehow he was he was like creating, I don't know, technology, man. Maybe he was creating hydrogen. He was burning hydrogen that was taken from the water or something. I don't know how that works, but rumors are that that scientist died shortly after he presented his vehicle to the world. And that technology that he had was kind of classified, and no one knows what that is. There is a potential, of course, but how long it will take before these new technologies will become reality, it's God knows, man. Anybody's guess. Thank you very much, Scooby, for your super chat and interesting comments and questions there, for your donations. And your friends, just now, a minute ago, Nidish Kumar wrote Levan, last week our fast breeder reactor reached critically. Now it can produce its own fuel. You see, Scooby, I mean, technologies are not standing on one place. There is constant development and actually race in different parts of the world. And Nidish also commented, let me get there. That's it, man. Nidish also commented a few minutes ago that there is a breaking news. Iran says it sunk a US vessel. They released video as well. And dear friends, thank you very much for sharing, Nidish. And dear friends, right now, let's go for Telegram channels. Let's check a couple of them. What's going on? I myself interested. So don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. Let's check together. It takes a minute, dear friends. I'll give you a couple of Telegram channels now. Iran sunk US vessel. Seriously, man. That's quite something. I guess some Telegram channels probably will have report about it. Let's see if the Geopolitics is writing something. Oh, nothing here on the Geopolitics. On the subject, let's see. Maybe Kirill Fyodorov Historia Оружия is reporting anything about it. When it comes to naval assets, North Korea tested its first frigate, and the videos are circulating of missile launches and stuff. There is more images of US bases targeted by Iran before ceasefire. There is a report that despite US blockade, 2 Iranian vessels, there was a Chinese vessel first that crossed almost Strait, and now reports are that 2 Iranian vessels also went through Strait of Hormuz without issues. Well, reports are that Russian armed forces allegedly bomb dumps in the Kharkov region. I don't know. I will get through all this news, by the way, for next update. Well, there is no reports. Nidish. Central Church in Quebec destroyed in a massive fire. Mobilization in Q control territory. You see, one guy is running away. Oh, come on, man. I forgot to. Yeah. I did it quite a few times when I'm forgetting to make it visible, this page. So you see this guy is running, and their thugs, Zelensky's thugs, are trying to catch him and forcefully mobilized. That happening all over their Q control territory, day in, day out. Huge smoke covers sky as a forest burns in Naples, Florida. Well, nothing, Nidish. In Telegram channels, as of now, there is nothing about US vessel being sunk by Iranians. Nidish is also commenting, Leon, they are saying that vessel tried to approach Bandar Abbas. I mean, I'm gonna continue to search for information, and whatever I'm gonna find, I will share during today's third news update and second live stream that I will launch this evening at 9 p.m. Moscow time. Thank you for sharing the dish. I will of course pay attention to this topic. And well, this is it. This is it for now, dear friends. Like almost 2.5 hours this live stream lasted. And now, before I go, let me give you this update that I almost forget to say. I'm no longer gonna unlist videos on YouTube and Rumble, dear friends, because now when I have this regular morning exclusive content on Patreon, not to overwhelm Patreon and Boosty, probably makes sense to leave these live streams as they are on YouTube and Rumble, and I will continue to be focused on for Patreon on exclusive content like morning walk and talks, for example. Dear friends, hopefully you liked the video. If so, please leave some commentary. Will be helpful, I'm quite sure, to deal with the algorithm. And yes, if you come across my short videos on channel, by the way, and if you have a minute, please like those videos too. Can be very helpful. And yes, if you want to support, links are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. Please join our Patreon community or community on Boosty. We'll be tremendously grateful, of course. Thank you all, dear friends. Have a wonderful day and take care. Bye for now.